Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. The massive Gamescom event has kicked off in Cologne, Germany, so there are loads of announcements for us to talk about, so we're going to get started right away. But first, this rundown is dedicated to Old School 2015, who is thanking us for keeping EP's rundown and many other elements alive. Thanks for watching, buddy. This rundown is dedicated to you. Konami has snuck a surprise new Metal Gear game into Gamescom. The publisher has announced Metal Gear Survive, an all-new game in the franchise. It runs on the same engine as Metal Gear Solid 5, but apart from that, it couldn't be more different. Instead of the familiar single-player stealth gameplay, this one is a survival horror game based around online co-op with up to 4 players joining forces to take on zombie-like enemies. The first trailer, released by Konami through IGN, shows off a much more fast-paced, combat-driven style, so don't expect a traditional Metal Gear experience. This will, of course, be the first big Metal Gear game made without the involvement of franchise creator Hideo Kojima, following his much-publicized split from Konami. He's currently working with Sony on a new project called Death Stranding, so fans are probably very anxious to see how the Metal Gear series will fare without him. Metal Gear Survive will hit the PS4, Xbox One, and PC next year. Ubisoft is making loads of announcements of their own at Gamescom. First up, they've announced The Crew Calling All Units, an all-new expansion for their 2014 racing game. It will give fans the ability to play as the police for the first time in the series, taking on their friends in different matches and modes. There's also new story missions, vehicles, and a higher level cap. The Crew Calling All Units will cross the finish line on November 29th.
Understood.
Ubisoft has also announced that their extreme winter sports game Steep will launch on December 2nd, just in time for real-life winter mayhem to begin. As always, there are pre-order bonuses, and users will be able to choose between a regular edition or a fancy gold edition that will give them access to all the post-launch DLC. Ubisoft is also planning a free post-launch update for the game that will give players new environments in Alaska. Finally, Ubisoft has revealed that their melee combat game, For Honor, is getting a closed alpha test that will run from September 15th to 18th. You can sign up now by following the link below this video. The game itself will slay the competition on February 14th, 2017, because nothing says Valentine's Day like medieval combat. NetherRealm Studios has unmasked 2 new fighters for Injustice 2 at Gamescom. The DC fighting game will feature the 2 most recognizable characters from Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn and Deadshot. Like the other characters in the game, they'll have customizable costumes so you can make them look the way they did in the recent Suicide Squad movie, or give them a more traditional comic book style appearance. Harley Quinn was a fighter in the last Injustice game, but this will be the first time Deadshot will be playable on consoles, although it's worth pointing out that both characters were recently added to the Injustice mobile game. Injustice 2 will hit consoles next year.
Stop trying to kill me, will ya?
Get ready to help the rebels steal the Death Star plans. This morning at Gamescom, EA and Criterion Games revealed that their upcoming Star Wars Battlefront virtual reality spin-off will be based around the new film Rogue One. We already knew that it would be an X-Wing combat experience set during the same time period as the original trilogy, but now we know that its mission will tie in directly with the events of the film, with players taking on a huge Star Destroyer and swarms of TIE fighters. Star Wars Battlefront Rogue One X-Wing VR mission, as it's now called, will be free to anyone who owns the main game and the PlayStation VR headset, and it's expected to take off before the end of the year.
Ready for combat.
This isn't the only Rogue One experience coming to Star Wars Battlefront. The 4th and final batch of DLC for the main game will also be based around Rogue One, featuring characters and locations from the film. That arrives in January, just a few weeks after the release of the film in December. Activision is using Gamescom to show off cool new stuff for their 2 biggest shooter franchises. First up, Call of Duty is getting its craziest zombies mode yet. Activision and Infinity Ward have unveiled Zombies in Spaceland, the all-new zombies mode for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Unlike the main game, which takes place in the future, this one is all about the past, with players taking on the undead in a retro 1980s-themed amusement park. Expect there to be a lot more humor than the more dark and serious zombies mode featured in Black Ops 3, and the voice actors include 80s icons like Baywatch heartthrob David Hasselhoff and Pee Wee Herman himself, Paul Rubens. You can start playing Zombies in Spaceland after Infinity Warfare deploys on November 4th. Activision's other big shooter franchise, Destiny, is getting something that it frankly should have had all along. Developer Bungie has announced that they're finally bringing private matches to the game, allowing you and your friends to set up your own matches in the multiplayer Crucible arena. This means, like pretty much every other online game, you won't have to play with strangers if you don't want to, and you'll also be able to customize the game types, maps, and time of day. Private matches will be part of an update coinciding with the new expansion, Rise of Iron, which launches next month. An all-new Mr. Robot video game is here. Earlier this month, rumors surfaced that the Walking Dead and Game of Thrones developer Telltale Games was working on a new game based on the hit cable TV series Mr. Robot. It turns out that they were, sort of. This morning, Telltale Games published an iOS and Android game called Mr. Robot 1.51 Exfiltration.apk, which is sort of a text-based game where players use their phones to communicate with fictional hackers from the show. Telltale didn't develop the game, though. It was made by Night School Studio, which last delivered the adventure game Oxenfree. It's unclear if this is the extent of Telltale's collaboration with Mr. Robot or if we can expect to see a bigger tie-in game in the future.
I think we should talk.
Hollywood has caught a pair of very talented screenwriters for their big screen Pokémon movie. Variety reports that the upcoming film based on the hit game franchise will be written by Nicole Perlman and Alex Hirsch. Perlman developed and co-wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, and Hirsch is best known for creating the Disney animated series Gravity Falls, and he also worked on Rick and Morty and the Disney Infinity Games. Given their talent for creating lighthearted stories with memorable characters, the two of them seem like the perfect pair to bring Pokémon to theaters.
Oh, yeah.
The film is expected to be based on the new game Detective Pikachu, and will have live-action actors interacting with CGI animated Pokémon. Although there have been many anime Pokémon films, this will be the first Hollywood adaptation, and it finally got off the ground thanks to the huge success of Pokémon Go. Expect to see the new film in theaters in the next few years. And that wraps us up for the rundown, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new one. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.